Hello, everybody. Time for another board game tier list. This time it's a Wonderful World, which is a drafting slash building game. Um, that's pretty highly regarded. Seven Wonders, I believe, is the most awarded board game ever, and this is kind of a successor, which I consider to be a much better game than Seven Wonders, even though probably a lot of people disagree with me about that. But I would always prefer to play this game to Seven Wonders. Yep, so here is the tier list for it. So, first of all, we're only doing one tier list on this game because there's essentially one big deck of cards that everybody drafts from over 4 rounds. So let's get some of the basics. So at the beginning, everybody gets one of, this is not a how to play, but it's helpful to have some context. So everybody gets one of these civilization cards. If you play the base way, they pretty much don't do anything. They don't do anything different than everybody else. There's no differentiation. So this is the symbols that you would get for production. Everybody has an ability where they can turn 5 extra cubes that they've accumulated here into one wild cube. You can also play on this side, which then the Aztec Empire does something a little bit more thematic, where they're going for something specific here and they get different starting resources. I think that objectively, this is just a better way to play the game. In a lot of games, having the theme is important, but I actually feel like it just pigeonholes you most of the time. So this is maybe the one drawback to this game compared to Seven Wonders is when you play Seven Wonders, you get to pick which side of your board you want, A or B, or I believe that's how it works. I haven't played Seven Wonders in a while. And with this one, everybody should always just play this side because it makes for the most balanced, most fun game, at least in my opinion. So the other thing that's worth mentioning before we do this tier list is that there's 3 phases. There's the draft phase where you each get 7 cards. You draft down until you each have 7 cards, meaning that you get the last one that is passed to you. And then there's the planning phase where you decide to either put things into play slash be able to produce with them, or you can just discard the cards. And then the last one is the production phase where you get resources and theoretically build things. So that's kind of how it works. Yep. So, and it's very important to know that this happens first, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. So let's say that where's a good example here? So sorry, give me just a second. Okay. So let's say that I built this during the production here. Let's say I already had this resource and this resource, and I put 2 more on here. This would immediately go to my, I can't remember the exact term, but let's just call it the production area. I would get whatever bonus was here, and then for the rest of the round, instead of just getting this, because this was accomplished in this section, I would be able to, instead of just getting 1 of these from my base, I would be able to get 2 to assign to other cards, or to put here if there's nowhere to assign them. Then I'd still get 1 of these, but I'd also get 1 of the yellow symbols as well. There's fancy terms for all of these, which I believe I knew at one point. Yeah, material, energy, science, gold, and exploration. But we're just going to call them by their colors because that's simple. You play for 4 rounds. I just wanted to go over that basic stuff before we got too far into it. So, so when I'm doing this tier list, I'm assuming that everyone is playing on the balance side, and obviously these are going to differ slightly depending on what you were able to draft early. But how we're going to do this is we're going to start with all the cards that there's 7 copies of and work our way down to the cards there's only 1 copy of. S is going to be the most powerful and always most beneficial. F is going to be the worst. And we'll see what happens. So here we go. So Tank division, here's the resources it costs. This is what it gives you for production. This is what kind of card it is, which can matter for other cards. This is if you discard it, what you get. This is a bonus that you get for playing it or for producing it, essentially. For completing the build of it, whatever we can call that. And then you can see there's 7 copies of this card. I do consider one really good way to win this game to be able to get a bunch of these tokens, either the blue ones or the red ones, military and maybe political are the other ones. Can't remember off the top of my head. I've played a ton of this solo, and I've played a decent amount versus other people. So I got a pretty good grasp on this game, but I wouldn't say I'm a complete master. Man, I think we're gonna put this in C. Once we've gone through all of the production ones, which is probably everything that there's 4 copies of and more, maybe we'll adjust a little bit. But okay, recycling plant. I actually think this one is awesome. It's very important to know in this one that let's just say I was to do this, okay? If I had this here and then I had 2 of the gray symbols and then I completed this, I don't then get to use the rest of the gray symbols that I've completed. So you have to have this completed before you enter the phase in order to use whatever it has, if that makes any sense. But if this had 2 black on it, then I would be able to use the 2 black because we hadn't started the black production phase, essentially. So that's the one big drawback to this card, but this card is actually awesome in my opinion. It's a very efficient way to get built up very early. So all of these cards are pretty much going to be ones that you want to get pretty early in the game, and you're probably going to want to steer clear of late in the game. Wind turbines is another one that's very easy to get, but it only gives you the black resource, which I find is just not as versatile as the gray resource. I should put that list over here just so I start using the right terminology. This is material, this is energy. Okay, research center. This one costs 4, but it gives you 2 science, which is very helpful. And again, there's no... These don't give you any victory points. They just help you build, essentially. Honestly, maybe we'll do this. We're going to have to cover up a bunch of stuff here. I think maybe we will put this in C and we'll put this in B. I think that's reasonable. Okay, this is our first card. There's only 6 copies of. Military base. So this one is still expensive, but it gives you 2 symbols. And it actually gives you some military tokens as well, or 1 military token. I think we'll go B tier. I think a good rule of thumb is if you put, I could be wrong, but I think a good rule of thumb is that for every 2 that you put up here, you better be getting at least 1 of something back. So that's why this is an average card. This is an average card, although this one's almost above average. This one, the energy tokens just aren't that versatile, I feel like. And then this one you could say is theoretically above average a little bit. But I don't feel like Tank Division is that good of a card. You could make it work, but... Zeppelin! Yeah, I don't love the Zeppelin. I think we're going to put that in C as well. Honestly, though, with the logic, no. Yeah, I think this is right. Second guessing myself, but... Okay, Industrial Complex. This one is kind of cool as well because you get some access to gold, plus you get a token. I think this one is... It's very similar to the military base, so I think it needs to go here. Nuclear plant, our first card that there's 5 copies of. This one requires 5 symbols and it gives you 3 per round. If you could get this out the first round and completed, it's massively helpful. It would probably require you discarding 3 cards, 1, 2, 3, with those symbols in order to do it. But then you could be able to build a ton of zeppelins or something else your first turn. So it's very important to make sure you know how you're drafting and what you're hoping to go for. I think we're gonna put the nuclear plant. I think we're gonna put it in B because it's more expensive. It only costs 4. It'd obviously be in A or maybe S. Maybe that's wrong. But offshore oil rig. I think that's pretty similar to this one. We're gonna go B tier still. Financial center. Yep, this is just another one that I think belongs right here. And then the 4 copies, Mega Drill. Let's see about that one. Honestly, it's just another one that I don't find to be too helpful. So I think it's going to go down to C. Icebreaker. So it's a tough one to get. The ones that give you a ton of exploration, these blue ones right here, are just... If you are only going for exploration, it can be very, very helpful. But it's hard to keep your machine built on just exploration. And you're really, in this game, you're really trying to build an engine pretty early and then ramp up and then get a ton of points in the last 2 or 3 rounds. This is another one I'm going to put in C. Airborne Laboratory. This one I think we're actually going to put in B. I can definitely see some benefits of this one. Also, I can't remember what it was. There was one of these. Nuclear plant, maybe. No, industrial. Which one was it? Yeah, it's the nuclear plant. You can essentially build one of these every single turn just from this card. So there's some pairings that work really well. Submarine. I don't love it. It's very difficult to get, in my opinion. I think it's going to go to C. Maybe some of these should be F, but I'm not going to be that judgmental yet. All right, so we've actually made it all the way down to the cards that there's only 2 copies of. So this is all of our production cards. And I think it's fair that none of these are crazy and none of them are horrible. I think that the 2 ofs and the 1 ofs are probably going to fall more in these categories. So museum costs 3 gold and it gives you 2 victory points for every exploration card that you have. I'm pretty much just not considering these. They are all essentially equal, and they will be helpful in different situations. So I don't think that's really worth considering. Man, I don't know where I want to put this one. I actually think it's pretty solid because it doesn't cost. It's very, very inexpensive to theoretically give you a lot. It doesn't give you anything for production. Let's put it in A tier for now. If we adjust it later, that's fine. Okay, transportation network. So this one is very inexpensive and it can give you a ton of points for however many of these there are. And even though I've only flipped like 5 of these cards, there's a ton of copies of all these different ones. So this one I think can be really good, but it would just be in combos, so it would go C tier as well. Casino City. This one costs 7. It does give you some production, and it gives you one of the, let's call it political tokens. You get 1 for every political token you have, which is pretty solid. I actually consider the political tokens to be one of the easiest ways to get a ton of points in this game. I can't remember what any of the typical scores are in this game, but I know you can get pretty high, which again, doesn't mean anything if I can't tell you the typical scores. But given that this one is so expensive, I think we'll leave it in B for now. We'll see if we end up moving that one up as well. Okay, Secret Society. This one costs 3 gold and then 1 wild symbol. But this one, even though it gives you a lot less than this is just so much easier to get. So because of that, it's going to go in A tier. Harbor Zone. This one costs 5 resources, but if you complete it, it gives you 2 political and 2 victory points and 4 production. So this is a card that if I happened to draft this, I would certainly go for it if I got it on the first or the second turn. If I was somehow able to get it very early, I would build a complete strategy around it because it's very, very strong. So I think we're going to put this one in A. Espionage Agency. Costs 4. Gives you 2 symbols and 1 victory point. I don't love it. I think it's going to go down to C. Secret Laboratory. This one costs 5, gives you 2, and it gives you a wild element. It also gives you 1 victory point for every one of these that you have. I think... no, let's be generous. I think that's pretty solid. I think we're going to put this in A. Propaganda Center. Okay, so this one's very interesting. It only costs you 3, gives you a victory point, and then you get 1 military token. You also get 1 gold for every... what would this be? I guess yellow card. Let's just call it. For every gold card that you have, you get 1 gold, essentially. It's the easiest way to put it. I think this is going to be our first S tier card because this one is so easy. You could literally just discard a couple cards in order to get it. And then there's so much combo potential with that one. You can build entire cards just because of this. So, it's just ridiculous. Okay, Saucer Squadron costs 5 symbols, gives 3 symbols. I think we're going to say this is just a solid B card, but it's an average B card. Underground City. This one costs 6 symbols, gives 4 symbols, 3 victory points, and 1 wild. This one is another one that's just very, very good if you can build it in the first 2 rounds. I certainly would not build this in the 3rd or 4th round, but if you could build it early, it's very solid. Where do we put? I think we'll be generous and put this one in A. Underwater City. This one costs 5, gives you 3 and 3 victory points. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Whenever a card can give you... This isn't strictly true, but whenever a card can give you victory points and production, it's pretty solid. Obviously, it wouldn't be very helpful at the end. This one, Alexander's Tomb, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cost, but it's essentially going to give you 2 tokens, which are each worth 1 victory point, and 10 victory points straight up. And this one is one that you can totally win with just doing a strategy. You can totally complete this with just doing a strategy like this or this. So it's not very cheap, but it is absolutely obtainable. I think this one's going to be S tier. Atlantis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, including 1 wild. This doesn't give you any production, as neither does that. But this one gives you 2 for all of the military that you have. Obviously, that's going to combo really well with a lot of these energy cards because they will naturally get you a lot of the military tokens. Considering that this one is, honestly, I have to put this one in S as well. I think S tier cards, the conclusion will essentially be that S tier cards are cards that you can build your entire strategy around. A tier cards do things really efficiently / give you a bunch of points. B and can somewhat have strategies built around them. And B tier cards are just going to be your averagely good cards. C tier can be good, but they might lend you to a very specific thing. And if you're not in that specific thing, you're never going to want to draft them except to discard them. And F are just horrible cards. Okay. Cryo Preservation. This one costs 7. Gives you 1 victory point for each political token that you have, and it gives you a political token. I think this one we will put in A. It's solid, but this one you might not have a ton of these, so there might not be a very specific place for you to go with it. Okay. City of Agartha. This one costs 5, including 1 wild, but it gives you 1 per and 2 production. So you can just see, if you put these 2 cards side by side, how much better this one is than this one. It costs 2 less symbols. It doesn't even matter that it costs a wild because it has 2 less symbols. It doesn't give you the 1 token, but it does give you some production. So this one's going to be S tier. Climate Control. This one costs 5 symbols. Also, not all the symbols are created equal by any means, but I think for the simplicity of this, I'm going to treat them as such for the most part. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. This one costs 5 resources, 2 victory points, gives you 3. I think that one of the big problems with, let's see, what if, I'm trying to be consistent here. Yeah, I'm just going to call this one B. Sorry, we've also made it to the one of cards a few cards ago. I'm going to call this one B because this is all the same symbols, so it's harder to get to. And on the round that you activate this, you're only going to get 1 benefit from it, not 2. And it's very unlikely that you could get this the first turn. It's possible you could get it the second one. But a production card that you get late game is not very helpful. Supercomputer. Only costs 4, gives you 1 for all of your military vehicle cards, essentially your black cards. So this one I'm actually going to put in S tier as well. Again, it's a card that you can build your entire strategy around. Okay, National Monument. This one is very expensive. It costs 8, but it gives you 2 for every yellow card that you have. I think there's another card in here that is based on how... Yeah, okay, so this one... but for context, just look at this. I know that it's harder to get the blue cards often than it is to get the gold cards, but just look how expensive this is because it's so... Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Because it's so expensive, I think it needs to be B. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong about that one. Part of me does think it should be up here because it's so easy to get these first symbols, but I think that's what we're going with. Lunar Base. 10 points, a variety of symbols, and it gives you 2 of these. So this is just going to be another one that is just so helpful. Completing one of these cards is a 12-point swing for you, essentially. It's massive. Okay, Magnet Train costs 5 symbols. You get production equal, you get gold equal to the number of these, let's call them gray / beige, maybe? I don't know what color that is. And this essentially gives you 4 victory points for getting it, and it gives you productions. This card is just crazy. Yeah. Yep, I actually think this one is S tier. It gives you 4 victory points, and it gives you more stuff, and it can be worth more than 4 victory points if these are multiplied by more, all that sort of stuff. So, okay, World Congress. This one is 3 for each of the yellow cards that you have. It costs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gold, and then this is the first one I believe that requires you to trade in your tokens. This would be 2 political tokens. Yeah, this one could certainly be really good. 3 points per is kind of just crazy. So I think we have to put this one in S tier. And yeah, again, this tier list is a little bit different, where S tier doesn't necessarily mean that it is the best card in the game, because there's certain cards you just cannot draft, because this is a game that you have to pay for everything that you get. But these are amazing with certain strategies, and you can often build your strategy around them. So, Bionic Grafts. This one costs 5 resources, gives you 5 victory points, essentially, and a little bit of production as well. Let's see. Yeah, so unfortunately, I am just going to say this one is A. I don't think I can say that it's S tier. It requires too many of the same symbols. Often the green cards require a ton of the same symbols to be built. And also, on the turn that you build this, you're not going to benefit from it, or from the production anyways. So, Garden of the Hesperides. Let's say that. This one gives you, it costs 5, but it gives you 2 per. I think this one is going to be S tier as well. Okay, Treasures of the Templars. This one costs 5. It's going to give you 3 victory points, 2 wilds, and then 2 production. It's actually not too hard to get, but it doesn't give you, I don't feel like it gives you that much. No, let's be reasonable. Let's put this in A tier. It is solid. It is solid. Okay, Transmutation. This one costs 5 resources, gives you 1 victory points. It can give you 1 immediate wild and then 3. Yeah, this one is actually a very good card. I'm often hating on the green cards, but this one is actually very solid, because you could actually build this pretty early. Man, yeah, this card's actually pretty solid. I think we're going to put this one in A tier, because it's so heavy on production. Okay, Island of Avalon. This one costs 5, gives 7 victory points, and a little bit of production. This, I think, is going to be another A card. Okay, Neuroscience. This one only costs 3, and you get 1 victory point, and then you get 1 science for every green card that you have, which you're probably going to have a ton of green cards. This is another one that's S, which is very, very solid. Super Sonar. This is just another really good card. Only costs 4, gives you 1 victory point, and you get 1, let's see what it was called, exploration for all of the vehicles you have. If you get this in the first place, there's a really good chance that you're already going the vehicle strategy. The question is, do you have enough green to get you there? And I guess that's the question. But man, you can use the crap out of that card, so that one's gonna be S tier. Satellites. This one costs 4 victory points. I'm essentially just totaling these up. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, I don't like this card. I don't like it. I think it costs too much to do what you're trying to do. So I think we're going to put that in C. Okay, aquaculture. This one costs 6, 1 victory point for each of those you have. Then you get one of the civic tokens, political tokens. This is a good question. I think we're going to put this one. Struggling between these two. I think if we're unsure, I think we'll put it in A. Okay, Roswell. This one is another one that costs 6. It's pretty much the same exact thing as this, except it's going to give you a little bit of production. I think it will go here though, because it's a little bit harder to get, because instead of being varied requirements, it's all the same. Aircraft carrier. This costs 7, gives you 2 military tokens, and then this is another one that gives you production similar to this. However, you can see here, this gives you 1 victory point. This one gives you 2 victory points theoretically. This one might be a little bit harder to get than this is. But this one only requires 4 symbols. This one requires 7. So there's a lot more you have to put into this one. It's still a good card, but with that in mind, it's going to go to A tier. Teleportation. This one costs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Gives you 8 victory points and 2 symbols back. And I think that deserves being in A tier in that case. Bermuda Triangle. Costs 4, gives you 4 victory points and some other stuff. Because this is easy, it's good, but I don't think it's good enough for me to want to put it above B. University. Okay, this one only costs 3, gives you 2 victory points, and then you get science for every gold card you have, which is actually really, really helpful. It can help you diversify a lot. And again, this only costs 3, so you could get this really early in the game. Yeah. Mega Bomb, 4 resources for essentially 5 victory points. It's really easy to get. Because of that, it's going to go to A tier. Solar Cannon costs 5 resources. No, I'm sorry, it costs 6 resources and gives you 1 victory point for each of these and 1 of these. I think that this is in the same realm where it's going to go in A tier. Okay, Robot Assistance. This one costs 3, gives you 1 victory point, and then gives you production for each of these that you have. I think this is just another one that's solid. I think we'll just put this one in A tier. It's very easy to get, but I feel like getting these symbols is just not as helpful as some of the other ones. The material symbol. Okay, human cloning. Hopefully we can still see this well. Cost 3, gives you essentially 2 victory points and 1 production. Yeah, it's pretty easy to get, but I don't feel like it actually does that much for you because of that. I think we're going to leave it in B. Security automations. This one costs 5, and it gives you 1 per. It might be pushing it, but I think we're going to put that one in S. Time travel costs 5, but it also costs 3 wild tokens. Gives you 15 points though. I guess that's the tough part. I think 15 points is big. I'm honestly struggling between A and F. It's so hard to get, but if you ever get it, it's very helpful. So I think we're going to go with A, I guess. Okay, Super Soldiers. This one costs 7, and it only gives you these. I think 7 is a little bit overpriced. I think this is going to drop this down to B tier, especially because it's all the same symbol as well that you're required to have. Okay. Lost Continent of Mu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gives you 2 victory points for every blue card that you have, and then it gives you 1 production and then 2 other symbols, or 2 other wilds essentially. I think this one's pretty solid. I think we're gonna put this one in S tier. Blackbeard's Treasure. This is one that I actually see people play a lot, but I feel like it's just like it is good, but it doesn't do that much for you. So I think it's gonna go in B. Cities of Gold. This one costs 4, but it gives you 3 production and 3 victory points. I feel like this one's actually a pretty solid card. Let's be crazy. Let's go S tier. Gravity Inverter. This one costs 5 symbols and 1 wild. Yeah, actually, I like this one a lot. It is interesting that it gives you victory points for the gold cards, but it's not a gold card. I think that's interesting. Because it costs a wild, I think we might drop this down to A tier. Space Elevator. This one costs 6. Yep, I think that we've put a few of these in this range as well. Parallel Dimension. This one costs 7, requires you to give up one of your symbols, gives you a bunch of victory points for your green cards. Again, a lot of these green cards are actually pretty high. Let's see. Unfortunately, I think this one has to stay in B because it's so expensive. It makes you give up some of your victory point cards as well. I could be wrong about this. Maybe this should be a lot higher. Actually, maybe we'll bump this one up to A. I think just for the sake of being able to see all this stuff, we will shift all of these over. Now this is all A. Okay, Giant Tower. This only costs 5 and 1 of these, and it gives you 10. This is by far an S tier card. Genetic Upgrades. Costs 4, gives you essentially 5 victory points. Nice and solid. I think this one can belong in A tier. King Solomon's Mines. Costs 4, gives you 2 victory points, gives you some production based on these. I think this is going to be another A tier card. Virtual Reality. This one costs 5, gives you 2 victory points and then some production as well. Yeah, and honestly, so a lot of the strategies, if you start in one place, you will likely end up in a natural course along that line. So what that specifically means is if you are going for green, it's very likely that you're going to get a ton of green cards. So because of that, this is going to be very, very important and very helpful. And it actually lets you diversify a little bit as well because you get gold, which is often different than the science cards. So I think we're going to put this one in A. Okay, Universal Vaccine. Only costs 3, but it gives you 1 victory point for every gold card that you have. This one's going to be A as well. Giant Dam. This one costs 5, gives you a victory point and 4 production. This is one card that I've only been lucky enough to get it probably 2 or 3 games in the first round. But if I can get it for those, I will discard cards so that I can activate it the first round. And then essentially you just can commit so hard to the black cards and just do crazy stuff. So this one is certainly going to be S tier. Polar Base, this one costs 7. Gives you some resources, gives you 1 token, and then 2 victory points for every blue card that you have. It is... Yeah, and the other thing that's good about this is whenever you complete it, you will certainly get these 4 blue later in the round as well. So that's certainly an added bonus. I think that makes this one A tier. Without that, it'd be B. Ancient Astronauts. This one costs 6 and 1 token. Gives you 10 victory points. Some production as well. It's pretty hard to get out, but the 10 victory points is very helpful. I think we're going to go S tier with that one as well. Hopefully you can still see those. Ark of the Covenant costs 4, 5 victory points, and 1 wild. This one's just a solid card. A tier. Robotic Animals, very inexpensive. Essentially 3 victory points and some production. I'm a huge fan of this card. It's so easy to get out, and it gives you just a bunch of different random stuff. Unknown Technology. This one costs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 wild. But again, these green cards stack so well on each other. Where did I put? These green cards stack so well on each other that if you get this, you probably also have a bunch of other green cards. I'm trying to see. There was another one. I'm trying to stay consistent here, but maybe I don't remember. But I think this one belongs in A tier. I think that's where I have to put it. Or sorry, S tier. Universal Exposition. This costs 3, also costs you 2 victory points. It gives you victory points for each of the green ones that you have. But this is a gold card, so it doesn't necessarily lend itself to this one. Man, but it's so inexpensive compared to this one for the same effect. For that reason, I think it has to go S tier. The Juggernaut. It's an interesting one. This one costs 6 and 1 wild. You get 2 victory points here, 1 victory point for each of those that you have. Gives you some production as well. I think the Juggernaut is a solid A card. Fountain of Youth. This one costs 7. Gives you 1 per. Gives you 3 wilds, which is huge as well. Yeah, I actually think this one's going to be S as well. Imagine we're probably cut off, but hopefully you can still see the top of the card. That's the most important part. Quantum Generator. This one costs 5. Gives you some production. Gives you victory points for every one of these that you have. And honestly, because this is so easy to get, this one actually goes in S tier as well. And then Center of the Earth. This one costs 5. Gives you 15 victory points. It only costs you 2. I think this one, hopefully we can see all these. I guess I've gone a little bit too far, probably. But this one's going to be S tier as well. So there is our tier list, everybody. I probably would benefit from playing more games of this in order to give a more accurate tier list. Maybe someday we'll update it, but for now, this is what we have. I think that the S tier, the reason these cards are all S tier is because these are the cards that win people the game that they end up playing. It's not because they are necessarily the best, but if you get 10 victory points or 15 victory points from a card and it doesn't cost you too outrageously much, it belongs in S tier. We don't have anything in F, and I think that part of the reason for that, maybe I'm just subjectively wrong, but there's a lot of these cards are absolutely usable, um, and they are absolutely the move in the right strategy. Whereas in Blood Rage, there's certain cards that you just never want to pick, and also in this, even if you get past a card late that isn't very helpful for you, you can still discard it for a resource. So it's not like you're just screwed because you get a bunch of garbage. So there we go. This is S. These are A, B, C, F. Nothing in F. A is pretty solid. S is pretty solid. I think this is a pretty accurate representation, but thank you for watching, everybody.